My friends, I hope you're doing fantastic. It is a time of that day to record a little recording for you and a little session actually about growth. I'm myself going through these motions and a little bit of restructuring my life. And not really in a big, massive way, but some fundamentals. And this brings me a lot to ponder about what do I want to do with my life? Where do I want to go? And kind of some basics, right? Because what I notice, especially in today's day and age, our mind gets cluttered really quickly. And I've been very good in the last decade consuming tons of books. I remember in 2017, I decided to read 100 books, and I actually did that. I was reading, listening podcasts. And I mean, that was just books without podcasts. I was listening to podcasts also for the last decade, like almost daily, to different things about growth mindset, about health, about fitness. I also pursued all these different things as a coach and to level up my game constantly. But what I tend to notice that a lot of times we consume knowledge because we feel like we need to learn, we need to progress, and it becomes the way of thinking and means to get somewhere. But is it really effective? Are you consuming the knowledge that you really need to build particular skill? Or is it a knowledge that could help you to become better at your job or something particular? And we live also in a world where you need a lot of different skills. I think gone are times where you dive deep on one thing. I think being a serial master, it's tough, but that's required a lot of times nowadays, whether that's being an influencer, maybe if you're in sales, if you're in marketing, if you're building an organization. You need a lot of these versatile skills, and a lot of them start with sales, start with marketing, start with personal branding. How do you present yourself? How you make yourself comfortable with discomfort? Because a lot of times there is a big, huge disproportional gap between where you now and where are your dreams. And here in between, that's the reality. That's the vast empty space where we a lot of times are. And I'm there currently myself because I'm exploring a lot of different things and projects and the way I think, and I'm constantly trying to adjust and being a better human being like yourself. And that can be hard because on one side you have your routines, right? You have your morning routine perhaps, and then all the other different routines. Then it's really about recognizing hardships, and you have that mindset. That's why you're listening to it. You're a growth oriented leader. And then the third is, if you're like myself, you know that you need to pause and you need to learn maybe more to pause and understand when to pause. Be kinder to yourself. So a lot of things is not new to you, but implementation and consistency and determination and kind of maybe sometimes even reshuffling these puzzles in the right order might be exactly what you need. And I want to keep this kind of brief to the point because I'm already rumbling and bumbling a little bit through the session. But this is also why I talk to you through this without much talking points, because it's a lot what I'm going through at the moment, and I think this is what it's really authentic to me. And one thing I want to start is, and again I want to keep this really high level because I'm writing a post about this as well, so if you want to read a little bit in detail how this operates and how this works, I'm happy to provide you the post. It's almost 10 minutes, so you will need a bit of time, but it will give you kind of the gist and the details of it. So first I want to really start there at the bottom of everything. It's recovery. So I learned this the hard way in the bodybuilding days. So the more you push, more you need to recover. So you hear my voice a little bit. I just battled cold this week, and it got better. But I definitely see that I'm again at a stage where I'm trying to go higher. Trying to build more muscle. I try to be more better human being. And if I take a challenge, it's not just I want to be good at one area. I want to master multiple things, and this can be hard. So I want you to be kind, and I want to set the scene. When you're starting out, sometimes, like I said, you might feel puzzled, you might feel challenged, you might feel confused, you might feel a little bit tired of everything. So I want you to really think about it when you wake up in the morning and you stand up and you think about, okay, where I'm going tomorrow, the day after. You need to take it easy, and sometimes life gives you clues. Often times, actually, everyday life gives you clues, but it can be really hard to recognize that. It can be hard to grasp it. So don't beat yourself up. Think about the dominoes. Seek guidance. Um, think really about hardship. How can you learn from it? Where are those emotions inside? And again, I'm not really airy fairy guy, but I know that understanding your inner world is how you act outside. This is what makes you effective leader. When you understand yourself, when somebody upsets you, and when you maybe weren't so effective in a presentation. So recognize that. Think of those stages, the despair, all these different emotions, and also think about where you are at a stage in life. Are you at the explorer stage where, McKinsey actually wrote an interesting report about this? You're looking, you're bumbling, you're rumbling, you're trying to figure out where you are in life. Or are you at a builder stage, or are you maybe post builder stage? You already have a family and you want to go further. You already relaxed. You kind of, kind of cruising through life, or maybe you're already heading towards retirement or your post retirement, and adjusting yourself and remind yourself of the life's purpose. So speaking about how you feel to others is super important at this stage, or at this kind of start and foundation, before you really get playing the game. And this is what I want to dive to really quick, because again, I promise this is going to be brief and short. So the first kind of principle I want to give you guys is to play the game at your level and your rules. And you already see from the headline that I'm talking actually about a game. And I think Tony Robbins says often, and I've been following him for years on and off, but and reading different books, but he talks about this eloquently. Sometimes, people think that life is a bottle and a hardship and all these things, and it shows up everywhere. And I can tell you, I've seen it in my life, because most of my life, I believe I have to survive, I have to get through, I have to fight through, because I come from really harsh, tough conditions. I come from a depressed town in Eastern Europe, from town where a lot of people are bullied. I was bullied. A lot of poor people, a lot of poor mindset, and to rise above that, it's a miracle for a lot of people that I know nowadays, who still live there, who are depressed, unhappy, and it's sad life. So I want you to really think about, where you're playing at a moment, and higher you go with yourself, more difficult it will become. Think of the start of the discussion where I said, between where you are now and where you want to go, there is a huge gap, right? And this is where often the problem lie, because we don't know all the things we need to fill to get here to the top. If you're climbing Mount Everest, most of the time what you do is you hire experienced guide, somebody from Nepal, and you say, hey, get me to the top. You go for training. My friends actually did it, and it's weeks of training, and then you need to prepare, and it's harsh even if you go with a guide. And so there are different ways to get to your goal, but you need to be and learn to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. So, and this is hard for all of us. So I want you to really think about, when you feel lost, when you feel tired, to kind of a little bit slow down, instead of, go all the way, go super hard, go hardcore. Just take it easy. And then through that, I want you to figure out how you can sift through the Asian clutter, all the emotions, but also maybe historical relationships. Maybe you need to course correct somewhere, say sorry, or reconnect with somebody who actually you haven't talked to. And oftentimes you think about gardening, right? In spring, I will go through the process actually the other week in April, most likely, where I gonna take the plants, and you see I have a lot of plants around. Look at the soil, maybe replant some plants, and a little bit think like, hey, are they happy? Do they need water? Do they need fertilizer? Whatever that is, this is what you do, right? So I think in this process you should expect that there will be kind of cold splash reality. You will expect miraculous results, but that's not how it works. We all know it. It will take time. Also, escapism is a big thing. I went through it myself, whether that's running from one country to another because you're discom, you know, discombobulated or confused with some of these things. You kind of escape and you try to find your way around. So you need a reality check. And one thing that can really help is, and I'm describing this in the post, is really starting kind of fresh, installing a morning routine, pushing through boredom, and then really keep going and figuring out also where is your breaking point. So this is kind of what I want to talk about on this first kind of point. The second point I want to talk about is about recovery. We started about this, and a lot of people underestimate the power of recovery and why to recover. So I describe in this post as well, and a little bit in this video for you guys, that progress comes with energy. And energy, as Brandon Burchard really eloquently says, you have to generate. The power plant doesn't have energy, it generates energy. And in our body, there are little cells generators, and we need to give the vitamins, we need to give the minerals. That's why going to the doctor, sleeping enough. When you have a cold, take it easier. You're probably like myself, hard performer, high performer, but also hard performer. You just go for it, you go for the hardship. And sometimes you need to learn to pause and take a break. So all the daily breaks, sleeping at a night, weekends, going for a bike ride, taking a walk, holidays, and even meditation and health in general, and breathing can be very important. And the last stage I guys want to talk about is ikigai. Keep an eye on the roadmap. Keep an eye on really where you want to go. So I think there is Nick van Dam, Learn and Lose. In his book, he wrote about this ikigai approach, and that's basically what you love, your mission, your passion, what are you good at, your profession, your vocation, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. So I'm not gonna dive into the detail, but what I want to give you really a gist about is, think about your life from love perspective. Who do you love? What type of passions do you have? Do you have hobbies? What is your mission? Where do you want to go in life? What good critical skills you are building and you are nurturing? Build an environment. What is the, I would say, the world's highest thing that will fulfill you? All of these, a lot of I would say theatrical, but maybe even non, for a lot of people, non-essential things are actually the essentials. So think about that. Then I want you to really, and this is kind of how I want to conclude this recording, follow the red line. Accept, that you need to level up. Tony Robbins also talks about this. He said, if you progress equals happiness. When we don't progress, we deteriorate inside. I see it with myself. When I'm not doing enough for myself, and when I'm just going through the motions, it can be hard. So you need to accept that there will be dissatisfaction and you will need to go through that process. You also are enough. You got enough time. That's what Gary Vaynerchuk talks about really eloquently. And lastly, also, I want you guys to really think about this process to win for others, not just for yourself. Oftentimes, we are so much in our head so that we really lose the connection to why we should actually do this. And often it's really because our family, our friends, the team, think of the team spirit. When you do it together, you win together. So the choice is yours, guys, today. It's either leveling up or leveling down. And if you accept that there will be really some challenge, some clutter to sort through, some old stuff, some old blocks and stones that you need to carry out, it's okay. Then you can eventually start thinking about, where you want to go, how you're gonna do it, how you're gonna start, and really thinking about relaxation and then the ikigai approach to life to get you through it. So I hope it inspire you. Thank you for listening to my mumbling and rumbling. A little bit sick here, so I'm not super sharp, but still, I felt really important and thought this is important for you to hear. So, Have a good one and keep me posted. Please share it with your loved ones. And until the next time, still awesome.